Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. It's your boy, World of Wrestling, here today to discuss about the WWE Extreme Rules 2022 review. This is Random Wrestling Talk, episode number 34. I hope I'm coming in okay. I actually have a different service provider for my internet access through Spectrum. Same internet speed, but the modem is actually located somewhere else in the household that I just moved into a couple of days ago. I sincerely apologize about all the, but I was in the midst of going ahead and doing my packing and all my moving. So let me know in the chat, guys, if I'm coming in okay. I hope I am. I hope that this is not giving me any kind of issues. Um, so let's get to it. I got Daniel leaving a comment in the chat earlier today. He stated that I'm actually here extremely early, and good God, Wyatt's return was such a huge deal. And I am so happy. Uh, so happy to see one of the best storytellers of all time come back. And yeah, that's very true, Daniel. I got to be honest with you. I think this guy ought to be a fucking storyline writer, or doing movies or some kind of shit. I think that the Wyatt doing the 87 Eagles says World of Wrestling, weren't you future endeavored by Nick Conman's budget cuts? No, not really. I'm sorry to tell you, Matthew, I'm not part of his uh budget or anything else then. So I wouldn't know a damn thing about that. As you guys can tell, I've actually grown out a beard. Uh I'm looking a little hairy like a fucking monkey over here. But yeah, Bray Wyatt's return was excellent, superb, and fucking great. This pay-per-view overall, I finished watching it this afternoon after I was finally finished unpacking everything and getting settled into my new apartment. And damn, was this a fucking awesome pay-per-view. Probably the best pay-per-view Triple H has ever done since he's gotten into the creative position. I'm very impressed with him. I think that he's done an excellent job. I seen a couple of uh, actual thumbnails for Raw's event yesterday. I have not gotten to see what that show was like. From what I saw, there was Brock Lesnar challenging Bobby Lashley. Holy shit. We got a lot of stacked things that occurred on Raw that I actually missed. I was watching the Monday Night Football game. Yeah, I know. Pardon my sins. I will repent soon enough, hopefully. But I've been trying to win some serious ass cash. I've been doing pretty well on fantasy sports with the NFL football this week. I don't know how I'm going to do in that, but that's totally a different story on another channel if I decide to continue to do that. Tried doing fantasy sports with the NFL. Only got a couple of views. Don't see the point in doing it when on this channel I'm getting views that are worth doing these videos. Anyway, guys, I see that there's like only one person in the chat. I mean, I think that's probably Matt 87 Eagle. I don't know why, but I do apologize if I happen to be a little bit late for this event. Yes, Matt 87 Eagle, yo, what's up, man? Um, anyway, going into some of the things that the positives about this. Actually, I'm going to go into the few negatives about this pay per view, and then get into the actual uh positives about the pay per view overall. The negatives about this pay per view, I'd have to say the women were a little bit of a disappointment. I think the ladder match was good. I will admit that. But the actual wrestling itself between Bianca Belair and Bailey were a little bit questionable. That ending was kind of odd. I mean, Bailey's holding on to a half a portion of a ladder, and Bianca Belair is connecting with the KOD. I mean, what are you holding on to a fucking portion of the ladder? I mean, why? That is the dumbest fucking move. Was the match good? Absolutely. Absolutely. The match was good. I can't deny them of that, but the ending was a little off to me. I found it a little odd. There was a little bit of issues with Bailey trying to hold on to a ladder to do an attack with that ladder. So I was a little disappointed in some of that, but I can't completely trash all over it. Now, going into the other women's match, holy shit, was this fucking terrible. I like the story they were trying to tell with Liv Morgan. I really did. I love the underdog story they were trying to tell with Liv Morgan. She was even laughing at the end of her loss, like as if it was not a big deal, as if she was actually, she looked at it as a positive because she was able to hang with Ronda Rousey for a long period of time, while Ronda Rousey should have been able to put her away very quickly, but she couldn't. So she probably felt a little bit proud of herself. I like that portion of that match. What I don't like is the unbelievability of the match. Liv Morgan could not do what they were trying to tell in this match. It's not believable. It's not realistic. If it was a Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey, I'd believe it. But to go ahead and say, hey, Liv Morgan would have been able to hang with Ronda Rousey with no actual real life fighting experience, that's retarded. That to me just doesn't really stand out to me as important. Matt 87 Eagle says, what story? Liv Morgan was a failed experiment as champion. Whoa, failed experiment. Bro, she failed because of the opponent she was being placed up against. It wasn't realistic. Shayna Baszler was not a realistic opponent for her to face. If she was facing like a Becky Lynch, a Bianca Belair, women that actually have no real life fighting experience like a Matt Riddle does, and other people like that, I would say that's not a failed experiment, and people were still interested in Liv Morgan. So please, Matthew, shove the bullshit up your ass. The reason why the story failed miserably is the opponent they put her up against. If it was Becky Lynch, it would have been a little different. The story that Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan told was more believable. It was the better story. Now, granted, the dialogue that Vince McMahon provided was absolutely fucking atrocious. But what the story Triple H could have provided with a Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan would have been 10 times better and believable at the same time. So that is why I say Liv Morgan's not a failed experiment. She has failed miserably based on the opponent that Triple H put her up against. Now, I know why they did that. It was to tell some kind of story, even though logically no one would believe that it's a realistic story to tell, but they want to go with the Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey matchup, turning Ronda Rousey into a bona fide heel and staying champion all the way up to WrestleMania so Becky Lynch can win a Royal Rumble and face Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship at WrestleMania in Los Angeles. So that is probably the idea that they're trying to go with here. And that's fine. I don't have any major issues with that. It's just that the story that was being told made absolutely no fucking sense between Liv Morgan and the actual Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey. It made absolutely no fucking sense. But anyway, whatever. Let me go into some of the comments in the chat. There's been some comments between Daniel and Matt87 Eagle to me. So let me go over it. Matt 87 Eagle mentions the two negatives in this pay-per-view. One is the SmackDown Women's title, which we already went over. His second was the negative was Bayley not winning the Raw Women's title match. I disagree. I totally disagree with you. At first, I would say yes, it would be the right decision. Bayley wins the title. But let's be honest, there was something being told in that contract signing that I think we're going to see the damage control disappear, because damage control, let's be honest, even JD from New York 206, who we all follow on this channel, I'm pretty certain a lot of you do. If you don't, well, I mean, then maybe his opinions don't match up to yours and you just don't like hearing him talk. That's fine. There's people that like him, people that don't. But the point being is something that he says is very valid. They are totally disconnected with the audience. The audience don't really boo them. They don't really get that much of a reaction. They're trying to do something that doesn't work. This group does not gel well together. I totally agree with JD on this topic. I also think that the idea that because of the women not getting the reaction that Triple H is trying to find with these three women as heels, he went into the idea of, Bayley, you are failing at what you do because you're not authentic. You're not being yourself. Now, think about this logically. If she's not being herself, then who she really is a beloved character by the fans. So instead of going backwards and reenacting the good guy character that she did with the Bayley hugger, why don't we get a little bit of a raw, emotional Bayley, kind of like a Becky Lynch, but still her own authentic self, and be kind of like an anti-hero person that don't care about fucking nobody, don't give a shit, but has a connection with the fans. And that's the only thing we have. That's a Steve Austin concept. I think that this concept would work pretty well with her. Now, we don't have to go full-fledged Steve Austin type of mentality, but in the sense of keeping her somewhat the same person as she was before, but also having love towards the fans. That's what I'm trying to go with. The look stays the same. The attitude is the same. The only thing that changes about her attitude is her reaction towards the fans. I honestly will say this. The fans do like her. And I honestly also have to say is I love her interaction with the crowd. She responds to the crowd when they try to cheer for her. She doesn't want people cheering for her. And when they boo her, like a fan during the match, a little kid says, "You suck," and she walked up to the kid and said, "Oh, I suck," and she goes, "Yeah, you do." I love that. I love that portion of the match. And she said, "You know what's funny, kid? I'm the one winning right now," even though she didn't win the match, but she thought she was going to win based on the fact that she had the advantage. I thought that was cool. I really enjoyed her interacting with the crowd. I thought that was very entertaining. But this heel Bayley, I'm not buying into it. I just don't feel she is a legit heel. She just doesn't feel like a legitimate heel type of character to me. I just don't like it. I like her as a face, but I kind of want to see a mixture of the heel like character with her being a face at the same time, if you kind of get what I mean. Um, but anyway, Daniel stated earlier in the chat, I definitely think Triple H has been doing a superb job so far. Sure, not a lot of stuff is going to be hits, but it's okay because I know Triple H can do better no matter what. Daniel, I have to say that he has his moments where he is hitting it on all cylinders, and other moments it's just kind of a boring show. And Raw has been that way a couple of times that I've watched it. SmackDown, it's okay. I think it's better because of the 2 hours instead of 3. So it does it a lot of good for it to be 2 hours instead of 3 hours. I think that's the reason why Raw is boring. But I'll be honest with you, I think Raw storyline-wise is a better show. I think the only thing we got going on SmackDown is Drew McIntyre carrying Cross. The eventual dethroning of Roman Reigns is the only thing that I think anyone cares about. I Sheamus and Gunther is another thing that's going on that's very entertaining. Speaking of Gunther and Sheamus, that 6-man tag team match that opened the show, holy fucking shit, that was freaking awesome. That was an awesome fucking way to open the show. That crowd was erupting like fucking crazy. I gotta say, I haven't even gotten into the results of these matches and give you guys my star ratings from 1 to 5, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. I mean, there are so many positive things that occurred on this show. Only the women's matches were that big of a deal, to be quite frank with you. Everything else was fantastic. Everything on this show was excellent. I really don't have a lot of room to complain. I will say the strap match between Karrion Kross and Drew McIntyre, questionable. It was an average match. I kind of lost interest in it. I think it was too focused on the strap itself than worrying about them going ahead and actually wrestling. I mean, they were focused too much on a fucking strap. And the ending was a little cheesy. I mean, you got fucking Scarlett Bordeaux interfering with Mace, spraying him in the face and causing him to lose the match. I don't particularly like that. I think that was a load of shit. So that ending, that was just kind of a trashy way of ending a match that could have potentially turned out to be a positive. I think the ending kind of sucked. I don't know how you guys felt, but I thought that match was not so. I mean, it was okay, but it was not where I thought it was going to be. I figured it was going to be like the top 3 best matches out of the 6, and it really was not. So yeah, it kind of fell below the 6-man tag team match, but it was above the 2 women's championship matches. Not saying much anyway. Let me go into the other comments here. Daniel says, I really enjoyed the White Rabbit mystery that was going on up until Wyatt returned, and I figured it'd be him because who else would be creepy and cryptic storytelling wise other than him? No one. Well, I'll be honest with you, Daniel. I knew who it was out of the get-go. When they started talking about the White Rabbit and going down the rabbit hole, I knew they were talking about Bray Wyatt. There was no fucking question that wasn't Bray Wyatt. He has altered his character and has done so many fucking changes to himself as a character. It is ridiculous. This guy can never be put down. He is like a fucking Terminator. He doesn't stop. You can't kill the son of a bitch. He is nonstop in your face, always giving you something more to entice you with. You could kill his character off and he'll bring himself back to life. It don't fucking matter. You give him the pen and complete and utter control of his character, he will give you gold. Now, I don't know if he did all this by himself. Maybe he didn't. But at the end of the day, guys, the truth of the matter is this was an unbelievable way to reveal somebody. He didn't go ahead and interfere in a match either. That's another cool thing. After the main event was over, he appeared and revealed himself as the White Rabbit character. And the mask looked like something out of the Black Phone movie. It was fucking unbelievable. I mean, it's unreal what this guy has been doing over the course of the last, I'd say, 10 years. Maybe I'm overkilling it because it's 2022, so that's 2012. He's been doing this for the last 8 years. Since 2014, he has been recreating himself over and over and over again. Put in fucking mediocrity doing absolutely nothing. And somehow, some way, at some point, he manages to rise above the flames and the smoke and just elevate himself above all that shit. It's completely insane what this guy has been able to do. And Matt 87 Eagle says Wyatt and Chris Jericho are masters at revamping their characters. Bro, I think Wyatt does it way better than Chris Jericho. There's no fucking way you can compare the two. I think Bray Wyatt's the greatest fucking storyline teller in the history of pro wrestling. There's only one guy who comes even close to him, and that's The Undertaker. That's based on who did his character and everything. Now, supposedly Bruce Pritchard did the Undertaker character, so we can't take that away from Fat Boy. He's got to go suck down a couple of pancakes and eat a couple of hot dogs and some other fattening shit, and get one of those cheese puffs. Anyway, getting off of Bruce Pritchard. Who the fuck cares about Bruce Pritchard? He's just the ball licker for Vince McMahon. Apparently, he should have been sued by Bruce Pritchard because I'd imagine that Vince McMahon raped him or something. But anyway, guys, moving on to other things here. As I was saying, Bray Wyatt, one of the best character changers of all time, can tell a great story if you give him the opportunity to do so. The guy's amazing at what he does. Unbelievable work by this guy. Impressive. All right, let's go into the matches. We had the opener, as I already mentioned, a 6-man tag team match. Ridge Holland and Butch. Oh, God, Butch. Give me a fuck. I'm calling him Pete Dunne. Fuck this shit. All right, Ridge Holland, Pete Dunne, and Sheamus versus Gunther and Marcel Bartel and Avian Eichner. That's what I'm calling them anyway, at their original names, because I don't fucking remember. But let me go ahead and pull it up. Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci, I think is how you pronounce their names. So there you go. This was an awesome match. My only problem is, why the fuck did they have an Intercontinental Championship match where they have Sheamus get fucked over? Why? I didn't like that. I heard that he used some kind of weapon during the match, Gunther, and won the match. I didn't particularly like that idea. I think they should have won this match clean, and that's it. This match was very entertaining despite whatever happened on SmackDown. I didn't even watch SmackDown because I had no internet service to watch anything on YouTube TV. That's how I watch my cable. So who the fuck cares? But yeah, this match was unbelievable. All over the place. People getting smashed around. Sheamus got put through a table. I mean, I was trying to watch this shit for the last 3 days. I mean, I watched it Sunday night at 1:00 in the morning, passed out and watched the fucking while watching the very first match. So I had to restart over. I went ahead and watched it Monday night. Watched three out of the 4 matches. Passed out after I got to the 4th match. And then today I finally finished the last 3 matches and was able to go ahead and provide you guys this review, or I wouldn't even be here today doing it. But yeah, this match was really entertaining. Very solid matchup. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 stars. Easily a great match. Sheamus wins the matchup for his team for a 1-2-3 and gets the victory. Gunther did not suffer the L after all, so that was a good thing. Anyway, moving on here. We had the SmackDown Women's Championship between Ronda Rousey and Liv Morgan. We've already kind of touched base on this and my thoughts on it. I was not a huge fan of this match. illogical, not believable matchup. I thought this match was kind of shitty. Ronda Rousey, of course, wins the title. I didn't think that she was going to lose by any means at all. So Ronda Rousey wins. She's going, she won the match as new women's champion. And my attitude on this is that I think that this match was a 2 out of 5 stars because it was illogical. It wasn't believable, wasn't realistic. So at the end of the day, it gets a 2 out of 5 stars. I was not impressed with that match. The next match after that was the strap match with Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross. I had high hopes for this match, as I said earlier in the video. I thought that this match was going to live up to the expectations, but unfortunately, like I said before, they worried too much about the strap and not enough about the wrestling. I think they should have a rematch and redo this over. I think they'll have a better matchup, and I think they will live up to the expectations I was expecting them to have. Unfortunately, they didn't here. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 stars because Karrion Kross is such an entertaining character as a, storyline character. I think his wrestling is so-so. I think it's okay. I don't think it's terrible by any means. And if anybody wants to come on here and say it's boring in the comments or in the chat even, you're a bunch of fucking idiots for saying that. He is not boring. He tells a good story. Scarlett Bordeaux also helps out with telling that story. She did tell a story here in the sense of going ahead and being a cheater, but let's be realistic. It really sucked, but I think this is kind of the point of continuing the story. I don't think this is the last time we see these two go at it. So don't be surprised if they do a rematch, probably at Crown Jewel, more than likely. So yeah, I'm giving this a 3 out of 5 stars. The next match on the card was actually Bianca Belair and Bayley for the ladder match for the WWE Raw Women's title. I think that this was a good match despite some of the things I said earlier. I don't think it was terrible, but I don't think it was great either. I'd have to say this match, Bianca Belair retained the title. That's not my issue. I think that the Bayley heel-like character is a dead situation. I don't believe she is living up to the expectations of a heel. It's just not connecting with the crowd. I think a lot more people want to see Bayley be a heel and not or see her as a face, not as a heel. So that is how I feel about that. So I'm okay with the loss for Bayley. I do believe that we need to see Bayley turn face, win the championship. I think Charlotte Flair needs to come on to Raw, win the women's championship on Raw. I understand why bring her back so we can see Bianca Belair lose to Charlotte Flair. That is so that we can see Bayley capture the women's title in a face-like fashion and defeat Charlotte Flair clean and eventually dethroning her. Not at WrestleMania. I wouldn't say WrestleMania. I wouldn't want to do that. Stretching that all the way to WrestleMania is just fucking annoying. Give, Charlotte Flair the typical couple of month reign with no fucking real meaning to it and have Bayley win and have Bayley go over and have her big moment at the Royal Rumble or something. Or maybe just completely scratch off what I just said. Because maybe it is a bad idea. For all I know, people would probably say, what the fuck are you talking about, World of Wrestling? Jesus Christ. Anyway, moving on here. Let me go over some of the comments made by Daniel and Matt 87 Eagle. Matt 87 Eagle says, watch them throw in Charlotte into the mix at WrestleMania for the Ronda Rousey, Bianca Belair, or Becky Lynch match. If they do that, Matthew, I think that would be the dumbest fucking thing they could possibly do, but he's saying that's a joke. And then he goes on, Matt 87 Eagle says, we all know it was Wyatt at that point when they did the White Rabbit gimmick. I already mentioned about Matt 87 Eagle saying Wyatt and Jericho are the best at revamping their characters. Matt 87 Eagle also states that Triple H brought back LA Knight for the love of God. Bring back Pete Dunne. I totally agree with you on that comment. I mean, geez Louise, can we get rid of the Butch? I mean, like, what are we, living in the 1930s or something? Hey, Butch, get your ass over here. It's time to bag some groceries. Enough with getting all the carts out there in the heat. Get your ass inside and start bagging some groceries. How about the customers? Yeah, that's what I used to do all the time when I was a bagger. As a kid in high school and college, I would go ahead, go to the grocery store, do a little bit of bagging for customers. And to avoid having to interact with people, I'd go out in the blistering heat, grabbing fucking carts and just doing my thing so I didn't have to talk to anybody or have people constantly ask me, can you help me with getting my groceries? Where could I find the condiments? Gee, I don't know, asshole. Try reading the sign that says condiments. Anyway, that's just me in a nutshell. I'm not particularly the kind of guy who likes to interact with people that are strangers to me. I'm not really keen on talking to strangers, yet I'm trying to make that kind of change in my life at 34 years old. So good luck to me in trying to make that change in my life. Anyway, moving on here. We had Daniel state, I hope they change his name back to Pete Dunne, as Matthew already stated. Pete Dunne, the Bruiserweight. Such a better name. Yeah, Butch, Butch, the Bruiserweight. I'm mispronouncing the fucker's name when I was pronouncing it right the first time. Butch, the Bruiserweight? Nah, that ain't working for me at all either. I think that's an idiotic thing. And then Matt 87 Eagle says that Cross winning was the right choice, and people who disagree are nuts. Well, I don't disagree that Karrion Kross should have won. I think he should have won the match. It's just how he won, I didn't like. How he won the match is why I didn't like the ending of the match. But the decision on Kross winning, yeah, it was his big debut match. To me, that was his debut match. That was a major match he was having. And him beating Drew McIntyre was a huge win. But how he won, I didn't like. So that is kind of my issue with the match. But overall, I thought it was the right choice of Kross winning. All right. So let's move on here to the next thing that occurred on this show. All right, talked about Bianca Belair and Bayley. Now we're getting into the two biggest matches on this card, which, man, was fucking amazing. I fucking love this shit. I was getting fucking goosebumps watching both of these matches. Literally, my back of my neck was starting to get a chill. It was so fucking unbelievable. I haven't had that in a freaking long time. I mean, it has been a long, long time since I've had goosebumps crawling up my neck and down my arms. It was unfreaking believable feeling. And yet, it wasn't live. I was watching it replayed, and I was getting that emotion coming out of me. I literally was going, holy fuck. And I knew Edge was supposed to lose the match because I actually saw the result on JD from New York 206's thumbnail, having in the title that Edge says, I quit. I'm saying to myself, there's only one way he could have said, I quit. If they did anything different from that, they fucked up royally. And my first thought was something occurs, like, you know, Rhea Ripley appears at Beth Phoenix's house, at Edge's house with Beth Phoenix, and puts her in a chokehold, or, you know, pretty much says she's gonna break her freaking neck or something like that. Hurt his kids or some shit like that. Doing something to his family. That was the only way that was going to happen. The way they ended this was freaking unbelievable. Picture perfect, just the way I liked it. They had Beth Phoenix show up. They had also Rey Mysterio. They were having people utilize on this show that wasn't even part of the wrestling portion of this show. Miz was on this show, not doing a freaking thing in the ring, being attacked once again by Dexter Lumis, along with the mascot for the Philadelphia Flyers, which I thought was fucking hilarious. That was funny as shit. And he thought that Dexter Lumis was inside that suit, but it really wasn't. And him and the mascot for the Flyers went off together and were, acting as if they're the best friends or something. It was absolutely retarded. But Rey Mysterio got involved in this match. I thought that was great. Beth Phoenix got involved in this. This was excellent. And the most important thing, I'm not even crediting this person in this match, and he wasn't even a wrestler. Michael Cole fucking killed it on the microphone during this emotional situation that was taking place, with the way Dominic Mysterio was acting with his father, the way Beth Phoenix was being treated by the Judgment Day. It was superb. I couldn't believe how well Michael Cole turned out in this match. He was superb. He made this fucking match great. He sounded like a lower end version of Mauro Ranallo. And that's very hard to do, to sound anything close to Mauro Ranallo, the former announcer of NXT back in the day in 2018. I mean, he killed it in this freaking match. Amazing stuff that he was doing here. Saying, "What's your problem, kid? That's your father. What the hell's wrong with you? Blah, 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 blah." I know I'm saying blah, 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 but it wasn't just blah, 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 and that would bore the living shit out of you. It was just a lot of stuff he said. I just don't remember. But my gosh, man, he was killing it on the mic with pure anger and frustration that Dominic Mysterio is treating his father like. He called Dominic Mysterio a son of a bitch. When have you heard Michael Cole call some wrestler a son of a bitch for the actions he was doing? I haven't heard him do that in a very, very long time, and he did not do that very often back when they were in the Ruthless Aggression era. He was very unbiased. In this situation, he was not unbiased. He was very biased based on how Dominic Mysterio was acting towards Edge, Rey Mysterio, and Beth Phoenix, along with the rest of Judgment Day, saying, "How can you do this to a fucking man's wife?" I loved it. I absolutely feel, not the Miz, that Michael Cole killed it at his job. He made this match even better than what it was. And another thing about this match, they were all over the place. They were in the concession stand area. They were kind of close to there. They had the fans real close to them. They were going through the crowd. They were doing all kinds of stuff that you would actually witness back in the Ruthless Aggression Attitude era, back in those days. The only thing that was missing is that Edge and Finn Balor didn't go outside the freaking arena and were beating the crap out of each other out there. That's the only thing that was missing from this match. Had they gone that far, I would have been, what? What the hell? That would have been insane. This match was the best match on the entire card. Hands down, the best. Finn Balor was great in this match. Edge was great in this match. Judgment Day did their job. Rey Mysterio and Beth Phoenix were amazing emotionally. And Michael Cole, again, like I said, made this match 10 times better than what it was, and the match was even good without his commentary. So, all that withstanding, this is a 5 out of 5, and I don't often say 5 out of 5 for matches. The last time I said a 5 out of 5 for a match was back in, I believe, whenever their first encounter between Omega and Okada. That was my only one that I ever said was a 5 out of 5. This was a This was a 5 out of 5 match, easily with no fucking problem. Easily, with no issue whatsoever. So, this is definitely one of the better matches on this entire card, and damn was I happy to watch it. I was happy to watch this match. This was great. If you haven't seen this match, or you have and you want to go back and watch anything on this entire card, that's the fucking match you want to go back and watch again and again and again. This is a match you will remember for a very long time if you're a wrestling fan. Hands down, without a shadow of a doubt. Main event. Matt Riddle and Seth Rollins in a fight pit match. The only way anyone could win was by submission or by knockout. Now, I always thought the knockouts didn't occur by like how they do it with Last Man Standing, where they do they count all the way to the 10 count. But I thought it was until they stop moving completely, like they're unconscious, they're not responding to the referee. That's what I thought a knockout was in a fight pit match, but unfortunately, that was not the case. It goes the same way as you would do in a Last Man Standing match. This match was damn good too. I mean, it was the main event. It wasn't as good as the co-main event between Edge and Finn Balor I Quit match. But this was still a damn good match. And I got to admit, this show reminded me a little of an ECW type of pay-per-view. Only the problem is that the match the show was nowhere near the way ECW looked. That was the only thing that's the difference between the two. But bottom line, this was a good matchup. Daniel Cormier, though, I don't feel fits in WWE or professional wrestling for that matter. He's totally out of shape too. I noticed a humongous gut on this guy. He has never been this fat before in my life. He's looking really terrible since he's retired from UFC. And he needs to get back into shape if he ever wants to get involved in a atmosphere like this or a UFC type of deal. But I don't think he's going to get involved in UFC ever again. So Matt Riddle wins the match by submission, and fucking Seth Rollins tapped out during this matchup. He had nowhere else to go in a triangle choke. Usually in this case, you're pretty much stuck. The pressure just continues to build up and you get choked out anyway. So he didn't see any way of getting out, so he had no choice but to tap out. The way they made him lose was not a bad way. I think it was fine for what it was. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars with no problem. I think it was a good match. The Bianca Belair Bayley match, by the way, I think I forgot to mention that. I think this was a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I think it was a very solid matchup. Few little mishaps here and there that had some negatives towards the match and a little botches here and there. But otherwise, pretty darn good match as well. And then the Bray Wyatt to close out the show was unbelievable. The crowd went nuts. The way they did this was really good. I mean, superb. They were showing all the different characters from the Firefly Funhouse. They were doing remixes of the Firefly Funhouse. They were touching on the Wyatt family stuff as well, I believe. They were doing all the characters from the Firefly Funhouse as well. I mean, you were witnessing all kinds of shit. Even the mask of, I believe it was the mask of the Fiend or the mask of Bray Wyatt as the Eater of Worlds, showed up on Michael Cole and Corey Graves' commentary desk. Michael Cole goes, "What the hell?" I mean, Michael Cole, by that I Quit match, was on all cylinders in commentary throughout the rest of that night. When they got to that co-main event, he was on point throughout the entire rest of the show. Before that, he was just normal Michael Cole, doing his normal thing, doing an okay job. But damn, man, he went ahead and fucking was freaking out by seeing a some sort of mask. I don't know if it was the Fiend mask or it was actually Bray Wyatt's face on a mask or some shit. But my gosh, man, he was good. And Bray Wyatt was excellent. I absolutely enjoyed this entire pay-per-view for what it was, and a very solid, entertaining pay-per-view without a world championship match, or for that matter, without any world title matches of any kind. We didn't see anything going on with the Intercontinental US Championship. Nothing. Nothing on this shit. There was 2 title matches. The women's titles were it. The rest of the show was just nothing but grudge matches. And they were just as good as any fucking match that any title match you could ask for. And they just killed it on all the matches mostly. So anyway, let me go over the comments here because there was a lot between Daniel and Matt87 Eagle. Wow. All right, let me see where I left off here. All right, so Matt 87 Eagle said Ripley hitting Beth was fantastic heat. Yes, it was. And Michael Cole snapped at that. He thought that was ridiculous what she did. He was disgusted with her actions. And same with Dominic Mysterio, as I mentioned before. Matt 87 Eagle also states, the Miz story is getting a bit stale. We need either an explanation or a payoff quick. I agree with you on that, but I honestly think there's going to be. I really do. I think that the person who was in the mascot was actually Tommaso Ciampa. Tommaso Ciampa hasn't been found anywhere. I think this is a different story being told. I don't think Bray Wyatt has anything to do with a Dexter Lumis or Tommaso Ciampa at this point. So I truly think that Tommaso Ciampa is just looking for a way to break away from what's his face? From The Miz. I could see let me pose something to you guys. What would you guys think if they went ahead and had an NXT Originals or just NXT guys, black and gold NXT guys, going up against the WWE main roster in a War Games match? Give me a moment to explain. We have The Miz. No, hold on. No, wait. Dexter Lumis, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, and Kevin Owens. Those 4 guys. Going up against guys such as like The Miz, Chad Gable, Otis, and I'm trying to think of a 4th person. And what's his face? Austin Theory. Have those 4 guys. Those 4 guys up against those guys. You could do a traditional Survivor Series match as well if you wanted to go that route, just to save the War Games type of match for a bigger story being told, like the Judgment Day versus the Edge, Rey Mysterio, AJ Styles, and so forth. They could go that route as well. So that's another option. So yeah. Anyway, Daniel says, I feel like Miz should just say he's had enough and challenge Dexter Lumis in Crown Jewel, at Crown Jewel, or something to pay off the weeks of the Miz being attacked. Yeah, they need to give Miz some set of balls at this point. Challenge Dexter Lumis. Something, anything, just to get this off the ground, because it's just repetitive. There's no, they're not moving up to the next level with this storyline. It's kind of just staying in neutral and going nowhere. Matt 87 Eagle also states that Survivor Series is going to be great with a traditional elimination match of Judgment Day +2 against Edge, Styles, Ray, and Raw. Spoilers. Okay. He also states, Matt 87 Eagle states to Daniel, well, Daniel, they have a match next week's Raw, but we really need some sort of payoff. Matt 87 Eagle states, hopefully they don't make us wait to reveal the identity of the Wyatt Six. So they're supposedly going to create a storyline faction. Is that what they're trying to do here? Now, from what I've heard, there's a story going around that Cody Rhodes is not the guy that's going to win the Royal Rumble and go to WrestleMania. That's a rumored situation. Well, if that's the case, then the only other person you can think of that could dethrone Roman Reigns is Bray Wyatt. That's it. That's all you got. It's either him or Cody. That's it. Nothing else. No in betweens. And that's if we're only looking at one world championship being defended at WrestleMania. So that's another thing being brought into question. So we don't know about that either. Anyway, Daniel says, this mask kind of reminded me of the mask from the horror movie The Black Phone. Yes, I mentioned that. I mentioned that earlier in this video, and he says, so I don't know if that's a reference. I believe it is. I believe he's just playing out a horror character in the wrestling realm. Matt 87 Eagle also states that War Games is already set with the Bloodline, and Judgment Day has the elimination match, but enjoy your fantasy booking. And Matt 87 Eagle says public opinion says that Bo Dallas was wearing the Fiend mask. Holy shit. Bo Dallas was wearing Bray Wyatt's Fiend mask. That is very interesting. Very fucking interesting. Wow. That's crazy. If that's true, congratulations to him. And hope they utilize him in the storylines in the future for this character with Bray Wyatt. And Bo Dallas gets a definite redo with his character, because what he had going into WWE in 2014 was fucking awful. Really terrible. But anyway, guys, that's all I got here for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And as usual, go ahead and leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. I thank you guys very much for watching. Have a great night, guys. Bye.